Hey, chums, welcome back to A Game with Chums podcast. I'm your host for this episode, Paul, Paulie C, Paulie B, Paulus the Magnificent, Paulus the Wise, Paulus the Handsome, and Paulus the Magnificent.
Like
Uh,
two names would have been fine. Even one would have been perfectly normal.
I'm like Apollo Creed, man, in Rocky, where he has so many nicknames in the Count of Monte Fisco. And that voice you could hear is my ever beautiful and well mannered and well manicured presenter, co-host, Mr. Ross. Mr. Ross, how you been? What you been up to? What you been playing? Let's get all the pleasantries out the way.
Well, since we last did a podcast, not much because it's only been a week. So
No,
just
the last podcast came out. It wasn't last week.
was it not last week?
No, it was a week before that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
my
does feel
brain
like we
doesn't
did it.
function.
It does feel like it came out last week, but no, it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think still the same stuff to be honest. Um,
Yeah.
Dead Space came out, so I've been meaning to try and start that. I just haven't got around to it. And then just playing another game, which we're going to talk about in a little while.
Yes. The
Um,
drop, the surprise game
mm,
that got
which is
dropped.
pretty fun.
Mm.
Other than that, not much really. Just had some time off work, so I had to go to a family funeral,
Yeah.
and just haven't had much time to do anything, to be honest. So just sort of like playing a little bit of a couple of different things about
Yeah.
it.
Ah, well,
What about you?
well, Miss. Thanks for asking, by the way. I've been doing the same thing. Playing the new game that got dropped during the Xbox Direct. Enjoying that. Other than that, not too much, to be honest. Been watching the Last of Us TV show. It's pretty good. So at the time of this recording, only 2 episodes have been released. They drop every Monday. So tomorrow we're recording this on Sunday. So tomorrow the third episode should be out, and we watch. My younger sister actually got Sky Direct. Sky was it Sky Now?
Now TV?
No, Now TV. Sorry, yeah, it's just to watch the Last of Us. Yeah, at the moment it's pretty good. They've added some stuff into the game to give people a bit more backstory. Um, they've changed the how you get infected from the virus. Instead of spores now, it's tendrils. So tendrils come out of the infected's mouth, which I'm not really a big fan of that. I kind of think like the spores because it's a fungus, so obviously it's like it will produce like spores, and that's how people normally get infected. That's why in the game you have to wear a gas mask unless you're Ellie, who's immune. But yeah, they
Spoiler.
changed that. Well, not really. It's like in that's the whole the thrust of the game. You find out pretty early that she's immune. But other than that, it's a really good show. And like we said, it's we always said that The Last of Us lends itself well to being adapted into live action because the game itself is they structured it to be like a film or a TV show.
Mm.
So yeah, that's so easy. You can't mess that up. But yeah, been watching that. Um, if my voice sounds a bit croaky, it's because yesterday a group of chums of ours, we all went out to karaoke for 3 hours in the West End of in London, and I sang a lot of songs, so my throat's a bit sore, and we drank a lot of beer, which seems to be the norm in our social circles.
As was the style at the time.
Yeah. So we sound a bit, if we sound a bit croaky or tired, that's the reason why, because we're getting older now and it's harder to recover from a boozy day.
Yeah,
Yeah, man,
sure is.
it really is, man. So I'm just drinking a lot of stuff with electrolytes in it just to get me hydrated again. But it's yeah, soon I'll be like having to put a fucking what's the thing when
An
you put
IV.
yeah, an IV just to get myself going again now. I'll get to that age. But yeah. So now we got all that out of the way. Not much has happened in the world of gaming or anything else, I think. not too much. So we'll skip all that and we'll
Yeah, I
just
think the
get
only things
straight
that have happened are going to be what we're going to be covering anyway.
to
So
yeah. Um, which is the recently like last week, Xbox released its first direct event. It's just purely focusing on Xbox and Bethesda it's called what the Xbox and Bethesda Direct,
developer
Developers Direct.
direct.
Yeah,
Mm.
so that got released, and yeah, it's short, sweet. People were really happy with the format, and didn't divulge too much in terms of like if you listen to our last podcast, what I was hoping for, but they did drop a game that went straight onto day one into Game Pass by Tango Works. Can we talk about that first, or do you want to talk about the actual event? What did you think of it?
Let's talk about the direct things. It's kind of the
Hmm.
overarching topic, I guess. But
Okay.
yeah, as we discussed on the last podcast, like we knew ahead of time what games were going to be in it,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think I think they were wise to say, look, it's just going to be these games. Don't
Mm-hmm.
like expect loads of reveals and stuff. And even then, I've seen some people on forums and stuff that are like, I can't believe they didn't show Avowed and Perfect Dark and Fable. And I was like, I never said they were going to show that stuff. They specifically
Mm.
told you what games they were going to show so that people wouldn't end up doing that, and people did it anyway. And
Yeah.
as we said, like most of the games, neither of us are particularly interested in. There was Minecraft Legends, is it?
Hmm.
Like an RTS game, and neither of us are big into strategy games.
Or
The Forza
Minecraft.
Motorsport, or Minecraft.
Mm.
The Forza Motorsport reboot, which looks amazing, but neither of us are really into like sort of simmy kind of races.
Hmm.
And then Elder Scrolls Online, which neither of us play. And the only game I was like, it's fine. They're showing Redfall. I want to see more of Redfall. And they did a bit of
Hmm.
a deep dive in Redfall, which was pretty good. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, they didn't show much that I was that interested in, but I enjoyed the format. I thought the
Mm.
format was really good. It was really well
Mm.
paced. Um, I like they just kind of there's no like host or anything. They just like each segment is like right, just hand over to the studio in question, let them talk about their game, and sort of intersperse it with gameplay and stuff. I think it was really well done. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree. I was probably one of those guys who was hoping for like a trailer from one of their games, like a Fable or Avowed. But I knew it wasn't going to happen. But you never know. They could show something a trailer or something like that. But overall, I thought the show was pretty well done. I enjoyed the format. I think they've learned their lessons from when they tried to do something similar like this last time. Cut out all the presenter nonsense. I mean, sometimes it works well, other times it's just you don't need it, especially for something like this. So yeah, I think that's really good. It does look like hopefully that this is not just a one-off, that they will do this again, and like by every 6 months or so, I think. Something similar to what PlayStation and Nintendo do. Because I think Xbox needs it for such a big platform. It's crazy to think that they don't really have their own. They seem to rely more on like the E3s and the Gamescom and stuff like that. They're kind of like traditionalists in that sort of sense. But yeah, with Xbox acquiring so many studios now, they kind of need these events, their own like sort of focused events, and hopefully, hopefully it's not a one-off, and we'll see it again. Because I'm very much like enjoyed that format, and I enjoyed the event. It wasn't too long, and it overstayed its welcome. And yeah, I think they were onto a winner. I saw online on Twitter that there was a lot of people who liked it, and also some people who didn't, and there were some people who just outright hated it. And some people just
Well,
hating
that
it for
sounds like
just
Twitter.
people hating on it just for the sake of hating on it, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's just Twitter, man. You're never gonna never the day everyone's harmonious on Twitter is the day the world ends.
Or
So
the day
yeah,
Twitter ends, one or the other.
yeah, one of those. But yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. But yeah, if they stick with that, they let that sort of organically grow with that the event. It could be good for X. It will be good for Xbox. Because like I said, I think they do need their own. Like they like to show off their games in on an E3 or Gamescom or something like that. Or if it's like an anniversary event, that's when they sort of show this stuff. But yeah, hopefully moving forward, we'll see more of this because I think it's good. I think it's good, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Mine kind of
Like,
touched on one of the things you mentioned there was also something we talked about in the last podcast where they've got so many studios and they can't just have like one PR beat a year and that be like around E3 time. Because
mm-hmm,
even like the TGAs last year, the end of last year, they didn't turn up and people were
mm,
going nuts over that. And obviously now we know because they were going to do this. That
mm,
makes sense. But yeah, like they've generally been fairly light at Gamescom in recent years. They haven't done an XO since XO 19, I think, which is when you and me went to the one in London.
mm,
Um, so it's kind of just been like one event a year for the last couple of years until now, and it's just when they've got so many studios. I mean, there's like 23 now, I think. If even like before the Activision deal goes through, it'll be over 30 if that goes through. They can't just be sticking to one event a year. So I'm hoping this can be like even if they do it like once a quarter, do it once every 3 months, just pick a few games that are coming out in the next like 6 months and just say like here's a deep dive into a few of the games that are coming.
mm.
So hopefully it's something they stick with. They've also said they're going to do one specifically for Starfield as well, but I think anyone knows when that's going to be yet. But it's a
Yeah,
good format. I do think most people were quite positive about it that I saw online.
yeah. Um, they did have release dates for us for most of the games apart from Forza, so that's good as well because
Yeah, I
nothing's
think that
more
one just
annoying.
said coming 2023, didn't it?
Yeah, sometimes. So, but yeah, is was there was a surprise announcement, and we're going to talk about that now. They did shadow drop a new game, a new IP. It could be a future big IP for Xbox. It's received a lot of praise, good reviews. People seem to really enjoy it, and that is a cool. Is the game is called Hi-Fi Rush, and yeah, it just sort of dropped out from no. No, I didn't even know that they were about anything about this game. It's done by Tango. Is it Tango Works?
Tango Gameworks.
Yeah, they're a Japanese developer, aren't they? They
Yeah, they're
did.
the people
They
that
did
made the
Ghostwire
Ghostwire Tokyo and the Evil Within games.
within. Yeah,
That's a bit of
so it's a
bit
bit
of
of a
a
departure.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
If you haven't
it's.
seen it, it's very, very like cartoony, cell shaded
Mhm.
rhythm brawler kind of thing going on. Just having a quick look. If I sound slightly distracted, I just went to look up on OpenCritic to see how it's doing in terms of reviews, because obviously, like reviews kind of trickled out because of the nature of the game just getting shadow
Mhm.
dropped, and it's currently sitting on 91 on OpenCritic,
Metacritic. Oh, well.
which I think is like probably the highest an Xbox game has been for a while. I think Forza Horizon 5 was around about that, and Light Sim was at 90, I think. But yeah, it's good to see a game just coming out of nowhere and everyone going, "Holy shit, this thing's amazing!" And just everyone seems to be enjoying it.
I wonder if it'll get nominated for a Game of the Year. Do you reckon?
I
Should.
mean, it should be. I mean, but obviously we're still in January, so we have no idea what's going to come between now and then. But it should. Games that come out early in the year tend to get forgotten a lot when it
Hmm.
gets to game of the year season. So hopefully it'll be remembered around that time.
Hmm.
But we've both played a bit of it. What do you think of it? What's been your impression?
It's pretty. It's pretty fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's different. I like the characters. I like the style. I like the theme of it. It's just a good time to be had by all. I don't want to say too much because we got videos coming out, but my overall impressions of it, it's really positive. It's just refreshing to play something different like that. When I first saw the announcement, my first thought went to is is Jet Set Radio sort of style.
Mm.
Um, because the soundtrack on that on this game is pretty good. Hopefully when we put the videos up, we won't get like we won't get copyright claimed or
Well,
anything like that. So it should.
tell me you put streamer mode on because
I
there's a
didn't.
whole option for that.
I God, I forgot about that. Yeah, that.
But it comes up when
Uh,
you start the game, like it
yeah.
asks you what mode you want to start in for the
Mm,
soundtrack. And there are licensed songs on there, but then they've got a streamer mode where
where it's all
um,
in
the
house.
Tango Gameworks in-house
Mm.
audio
I,
team have made their own
I
soundtrack for it.
see. You would have think by how long we've been doing this, I would learn to like put that fucking thing on, but I didn't. So, yeah, that was like it's a good thing you're releasing a video, so as well. So if that one gets shut down, we have your one to rely on. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's good so far. I mean, you got a cat on there, so that's all
that
good. A
cat's pretty cool.
black cat as well, and I have a black cat, so that's already a big plus in my books. So that's always good for me. Like, I think it's good for Xbox to have such like a surprise hit, I would say, on their
Mm,
hands. Yeah. Obviously, some people have been hating on it, mostly other particular fans of other platforms. But overall, I think it's been a positive release, and I hopefully if they do another event that like they do drop a little golden nugget or something that we weren't expecting like that again because that was pretty good. I don't expect it all the time, but the only problem with that is if they do it again, then everyone's going to expect another game to be
mm.
dropped. You
Well,
know.
that's the thing. You kind of feel like people might expect it for the next direct as well because this is the very first direct they've done, and then they
Mm,
kind of set a precedent, and
hmm
people are going to be like, "Oh, what are they going to shadow drop this time?" Maybe they don't want to get themselves into that position. But
yeah.
what do you think of the whole shadow dropping it strategy, just putting it out there? Because obviously, like there were leaks beforehand, people sort of knew the name of it, and there was I remember seeing some concept art a couple of months back that was supposed to
Mm.
be from it, but either it was a very different game at some point or that was concept art from something else because that looked like a sci-fi shooter.
Mm.
And yeah, there were like conflicting sort of leaks out there that it was a sci-fi multiplayer shooting game, and then another one like no, it's a rhythm brawler, and I was like, those are very different
Uh,
games. But obviously, we got the
mm.
rhythm brawler, um, so people knew sort of the name, and like right before the event, people were like, maybe it will be announced at this event. Obviously, it was. I don't think anyone expected it to shadow drop like that. But obviously, like because of that, there's no sort of like media build up. There's no sort of like months of marketing and stuff, which you usually get for a release, like announcement trailers, gameplay trailers, story trailers, launch trailers, all that stuff that kind of builds up towards release. Obviously, none
Mhm.
of that was there for this game. So, what do you think? How do you feel about the strategy to just go there? It is, go play it.
I think it worked well. I think it worked well. It was a nice surprise, especially if you got Game Pass, you can just download it straight after the event finished. And I thought it was a nice little surprise. It was almost like a little thank you gift for like our months and months of patience with you know with Xbox. You know, I know they release games. They release Grounded that's got a full release and Pendament by Obsidian. That was that's a game that I don't think enough people are talking about. But yeah, I'm glad that this has got a buzz going for it because it's about like they Xbox have released good games over the I don't think sorry. High on Life is not an exclusive to Xbox. I think it's time, doesn't it?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah. Um so it's good to have like a game where it's sort of more or less universally been praised and liked. Because they need one of those because they can't keep relying on the established games that they got like the Forzas, Gears of War, and the Halo. Even though like Halo reviewed well, but I see there's a lot of backlash against it now. People want the 343 studios to they want that IP taken away from them and given to another studio.
Yeah, people have been
Um,
asking for that for more than a decade at this point, though.
mm, I like Halo Infinite, so I don't understand the negative reaction to it towards it. I don't know if how the multiplayer is doing. I think the multiplayer is a bit not broken, but not I see not many people happy with it.
It's not
Um,
broken. It's just that it's the progression isn't quite there, and
mm,
unfortunately, a lot of people play battle passes instead of games these days. So like, oh, there's nothing for me to chase. I'm like, play the game. If the game is fun, play the game. Like, yeah, but I've got nothing to unlock. Gives a shit. Anyway, that's completely different.
mm.
Until that winds
Yeah,
me up because I hate that people are just addicted to battle passes instead of enjoying fucking games. But anyway,
yeah, yeah. So I hopefully they have to do it in every direct, but it was nice of them to like to sort of shadow dropped that game straight onto Game Pass, and it was nice for everyone to play and enjoy. It was trending on Twitter. It's reviewed well. I think they got if they play their cards right, they got uh, future IP in their hands there. Because as much as some people like Grounded, because it's a multiplayer online game, people sort of want the single player game.
doesn't count. It's not an actual
Mm,
game.
mm. Yeah, exactly. Like Sea of Thieves is really popular on a really popular game. I see
But
a lot of
what do you
people.
do though, Paul? What do you do?
That's the thing, isn't it? Like you have a lot. They have a really like loyal fan base. People who like the game love it. Um, and it does get a lot of traction on Twitch. A lot of streamers do play it, and it gets a lot of views. But you get the purists, or purists. People out there will go, well, what did these cosmetics do? Did they give my game? Do they give my guns a boost, a buff? Do I get
It,
anything
it
like?
it leans directly back into what I was just complaining about with Halo, where if people haven't got stuff to chase to unlock, then they don't understand how a game could just be fun. Because for
Mhm,
them, just like unlocking tiers on a battle pass is the fun thing, which is just insane to me. But each to their own. But it's
mm.
just like when people are like, "What do you do in Sea of Thieves?" And play it and go and have fun with your friends. Like every time we don't play it, we haven't played it in quite a while, but every time we
It's
did, we always just ended up having an absolute
mm.
laugh
I mean,
playing it.
and it's changed a lot. Like since we last played it, they got seasons now. They got actual like they got a town in there now, a big island town. There's like a city on there. So yeah, it's changed a lot, and they've added new gameplay elements to it. You can invade other players' um, games. You have to be willing to have players invade you. I think you have to like hoist. You have to be in a certain game mode to be able to do that. So you just don't get randoms invading you. You have to be actively wanting to be invaded. But that's good if you want to just have a bit of PvP. But yeah, anyway, back onto the to Xbox. Yeah, I think it was good. When like I can assume that you have the same sentiments as me about the Shadow Drop.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
do you feel about it?
I saw some people kind of people that are a bit too they're kind of too deep in the trenches when it comes to like the first party strategy rather than just like enjoying games. And there are a lot of people kind of lamenting the fact that we never got like an announcement trailer and a launch trailer, and we never got the chance to build hype and all this stuff.
I think
And I
it
was
did
like,
well.
I can kind of get that, but then like someone else posted, which I think kind of encapsulates why it worked, is that it just there wasn't any time to build up negative sentiment around it either. Like that could be like a cell shaded rhythm brawler from a team that have previously made horror games would be like if that was announced, a lot of people would be like, "What?" And they would be instantly kind of not necessarily negative, but kind of like, "I don't understand what's going on here," and and then you wouldn't get to play it for months, so you just have to kind of like take in all the trailers and stuff. And I think there's the possibility that would build up a lot of negative sentiment going forward. And the fact that they just went, right, here it is, go and play it, and it turned out to be really fucking good. I think that's just worked in its favor because it, like you said, it's come out of nowhere and everyone's loving it. And that can only be a positive thing, I think. And we'll
Mm-hmm.
see where it goes from there. Maybe they'll sort of like add things to it as time goes by. Don't mean that to sound
Mm,
like it's a work in progress or anything. It's a full game, full, very, very polished game as well. It looks amazing,
mm,
like, especially playing it on the Series X at 4K, and it's just like it just looks so sharp and clean, and colors really pop and everything, and it just the animation works amazing as well. The cutscenes literally look like a cartoon.
mm.
Um, yeah, I think it's just the fact that they just threw it out there and said you can play it right now, and people were like, "Oh, I'll play it, I guess." And then people are like, "Oh, this is actually really good." I think it's just worked in its favor,
Mm,
and it seems
mm.
to have had a really, really positive launch, which is always good, especially for a
Yeah,
new IP.
yeah. Like I said, this could be a future big IP for Xbox. You know, they got like a surprise hit on their hands, and if they play their cards right, it could be some sequels, spin on, you know, whatever. There could be it could be up there with its established titles because at the moment like Xbox do lack these certain game titles like PlayStation and the Nintendo have, like, you know, Nintendo always got their Zelda, they got the Mario's, even though and the Pokemon, even though I think Pokemon is just the same game, you know, with a few game elements, and but people seem to love that. Um, but yeah, like with PlayStation, obviously they got the you know, the God of War, they got the Last of Us, they got the Uncharted, and like Xbox have been relying on the Gears, the Halos, sort of like, and the Forza. So it's been a bit thin for them at the recently. Like we always keep saying that there's so many IPs that they have that they own that, you know, they just don't seem to do anything with. It's nice that there's a new potential big IP for them now that's
Mm.
come out. Um, but I do, and that will sort of sit alongside those games. But yeah, I do like the fact that they you know, they're bringing back like Fable and stuff like that, and Perfect Dark, and yeah, also like GoldenEye got released as well on Game Pass. So it's been a good few weeks for good week for Xbox. I think people are
Yeah,
a bit disappointed with with GoldenEye not being online to play multiplayer, which
it
hopefully they
is
will
on
add.
Switch though.
Which is, yeah, maybe that was a deal because, you know, obviously it got released on the N64.
I think
So
what it is like the N64 games on Nintendo Switch Online, because you have to sub to their online service to play these games anyway. But I think they've
mm,
got like a hacky way to make split screen multiplayer work online. I think it's
oh,
literally just like a part of their emulator. And
okay.
but why the Xbox couldn't also have it? I think it's just the fact that it's a basically straight up emulation with like a higher resolution. That's pretty much it. I mean, it doesn't even run at 60 FPS; it's 30 FPS on Xbox.
Mm,
I think it's just like pretty straight emulation. Um, so there was like a full on remaster of it years back on the 360 that never got released,
mm.
which seems to have just been cancelled and forgotten about, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it's good that you can play it again. And
Yeah, well, how did you released a video of it recently? Go and check that out on our channel. Wait, what did you
yeah,
think of it?
I had
You had
some
some issues
misgivings
with,
about the controls.
yeah, I heard you like, I wonder if this is going to be a twin stick controls. And was it?
It is twin stick controls, but if you remember back on the N64, obviously you only had one stick,
Yeah,
but that
horrible.
that stick moved your
Strafing.
viewpoint, and then the C buttons were like your strafing and everything,
Mm,
and then you'd hold down like I think it was the R button, and then it locked your view in place, and then the stick made your reticle move around the screen, which works really well for that game because of the limitations of it. But in this one, when you hold down LT, bring up the cursor, you can still move around, and your viewpoint still moves around the world, so it's completely fucking useless. And it's just really hard to like fire off precision shots. Like on the first level, the dam level, you get the sniper rifle, and you can I always used to like snipe the guards in the towers on the dam and everything, and it's virtually impossible to do it on this. I don't know if there's some other control issues. I haven't really looked into the settings menu. I'll have to have a look. Hopefully, there's something in there. But at least just have it so that when you hold LT, it locks you in place like it used to on the N64, because that was just very good for precision shooting.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's GoldenEye. We played GoldenEye to death 26 years ago. It's nice to be able to play it again without finding my N64 and the
Mm,
cartridge and everything. But yeah,
yeah.
it's
I
good that
mean,
it's available again.
yeah. So it'll be. I was like, I think everyone was hoping for a straight up remake, though, weren't they? You know, like a full, like, you know, AAA sort of remake, but that
I think
didn't
that was
really
ever on the
happen.
cards. I think
But
EA did that on like the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox, and
wasn't
it
it
was just
with
not
Daniel
very good.
Craig?
Yeah.
They changed the lovable Pierce Brosnan with Daniel Craig.
Mm,
It's like, okay, what's
yeah.
going on here?
I think
Yeah.
what people wanted was the original game just sort of like prettied up and sort of made a little bit
Hmm.
more modern in feel. And that's not
Yeah.
really what we've got. We've just got the original game at higher res.
Yeah.
It's a
Oh,
shame.
okay.
It could have been a lot more, but you know, it is
It
what
could
it
have been
is.
so much more. All right. Overall, I think it was a pretty successful direct. Um, now they got the foundations there, they could build on something and we can see more of these.
Yeah.
Uh and I think it'd be good. Like I said, they got what 23 studios. So there's a lot for Xbox to unveil. I mean, we all like I say, they got a lot of pots spinning. They got a lot of plates spinning, sorry. And we just want to see more of what they got. And I think this is a good way for them to show that. Yeah. So
Yeah. I mean,
hopefully it'll
it's
be.
kind of funny because like you've seen them kind of casting around for trying to find something that works and that felt sort of distinct
Mhm.
from like what Nintendo and Sony were doing, whereas like Sony just straight up ripped off the Nintendo Direct format, just
Uh,
copied it wholesale, and it worked. So you know why not? And then Microsoft are all like, "Oh, well, we're going to try this inside Xbox thing with like live audience and hosts and all this stupid chatter and fucking escape rooms and all this crap." And
mhm.
everyone kind of hated it. And the whole time people were just like, "Just copy the Direct, just do what Sony did and steal it."
Mm.
And that's basically what they've done, and it worked. It was, you know, it's a good format that works. It works for
Yeah.
both Nintendo and Sony for a reason. That's because it's a good format, and it's pacey, it's snappy. Just sort of get out of the way of the games and let a couple of developers talk you through them and show you footage of exactly what they're talking about. And hopefully they stick with it. Like say if they did it one a quarter or something, that'd be good. Just stick with it. Don't start trying to chop and change it now when you find something that finally works.
Yeah, I mean, they should be encouraged with the positive feedback they receive. So
Mm.
hopefully, the whoever's okay in this, Phil, if you're watching this and you're hopefully you're encouraged, you're pleased and heartened by the positive reception they received, and they'll be doing more of these in the future. Hopefully, they'll do another one this year. Um, should do. I think they will. Yeah, they should
Yeah,
do.
well, we
So.
know there'll be a Starfield one at some point soon,
Mhm.
hopefully within the next 2 or 3 months. So at least we
Mm.
know there's one more coming, but hopefully they
Did
make it a regular thing.
uh, like talking about Hi-Fi Rush, um, I did notice on some websites, a lot of journalists were asking, "Will this game come onto PS4, PS5?" Um, it's just typical, isn't it? Really, it's when Xbox have a successful game, the immediate question is, will it come onto other platforms? And what we've had this discussion before, like with the Tomb Raider when that got made exclusive, the outrage that some of the fans were um, um, sprouting was kind of comical. And as you know, like especially this generation, PlayStation have sort of handpicked the titles that they want to have exclusive to their console, um, timed exclusivity, perks and stuff. And I don't see much reaction to that online. But as soon as Xbox have something that's remotely like successful, we hear the same calls for it to be on to it to be on other platforms or asking if it's going to be on other platforms. Well, we all know the answer to that. but
Yeah.
it's always funny. It's when it's reputable websites. It's not just some bloke off Twitter. It's actual like gaming
It was
websites.
some bloke on Twitter that kind of collated them, which is like the tweet you sent me. I was just like,
Yeah,
oh,
well, I
come
mean
on.
that
There's like
was
4 or 5 articles that they like
yeah
picked out that
that was
said, "Is Hi-Fi Rush coming to PlayStation?"
yeah.
It's like, no, you know it's not coming to PlayStation, so why are you making an article about it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't read any of those articles. I just looked at the headlines and I just rolled my eyes. I was just like, oh, here we go. They should know that question, and I'm pretty sure the articles will probably say no, it's not coming to PlayStation or Nintendo or anything like that. I mean, it could come to Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo and Xbox seem to have like a sort of a friendly relationship, which seems to be more in favor of Nintendo than Xbox. I mean, like Ori went on there for some sort of for I think Ori and the Blind Forest went on to Nintendo.
I think both of them are on
Both of them,
Switch. I think
yeah.
so.
So I don't know why that deal was made. What did like what the Xbox didn't get anything from them? I don't
No,
think.
that was
Uh,
the Moon Studios. The developers wanted to put it on Switch, and
mhm.
Xbox were just like, "Yeah, okay, go on then. We'll allow you
Yeah.
to do it." But I think either I can't remember if it was Phil Spencer or Aaron Greenberg. One of them at the time said, "Like, we don't want to get into a habit of doing this because then people are going to expect it, and we don't really foresee many games going to Switch." And you could
Oh,
tell they
cool.
were kind of like, because at that point people were like, "Oh, I guess Microsoft are going third party now, and they're going to get games are going to go on Switch, at least the ones that can." And it's like you get the feeling they were like, "No, we don't want to have to deal with people thinking that, so we're going to shut that down." But I think those are the only ones that have the two Ori games.
And GoldenEye.
Yeah, and GoldenEye, which was I think Nintendo have some kind of stake in that as
Hmm.
well. I don't know if it's like they own bits of the code or something, maybe. But like Ori there obviously had no claim at all to that. That was just like Thomas Mahler, I think, the guy, the studio head from Moon Studios, was like, "I really want to put this on Switch." And I'm just like, "Yeah, all right, we'll go on then." Um, I don't think there's been anything else. Obviously, there's like the Minecraft games, Minecraft itself, and Minecraft Dungeons, and then Minecraft Legends is as well. But Minecraft is a big multi-platform
Hmm.
um, property, and it's going to stay that way. So that's kind of a bit of a outlier.
Hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't foresee Hi-Fi Rush going to Switch, but then if it ever does, I'll be like, okay, sure,
Mm.
I can't really see it. It's
Yeah,
definitely not going to be going to PlayStation. I don't know why anyone would even think there was a chance of that happening.
it's just the typical like I say, as soon as something popular is on Xbox, people automatically go, well, is it going to come out on PlayStation? Um, I mean, like when's Final Fantasy? I don't see any articles when that the announcement was made. The anniversary, Final Fantasy anniversary. Everyone was expecting a port for the Xbox. It got ported to Steam, but no Xbox. And I didn't see. I saw some people saying it online, like on Twitter, but I didn't see any articles going. This should be
Yeah,
coming
no
out
articles
on.
and
Mm,
no people in the media reaching out
mm,
to Square to say when's it coming to Xbox like they did
mm,
with. Like, I remember when Rise of the Tomb Raider was announced as a timed exclusive to Xbox, and literally every interview like Phil Spencer did right after that, they were like,
mm,
"When's it coming to PlayStation?" Like as if the fucking head of Xbox is going to answer that question. And why are you even asking it?
mm,
You know, like nobody's asking that about Final Fantasy VII. Nobody's asking that about Final Fantasy 16. Like people on forums are asking it because they want the game. No one in the fucking media is bothering to ask it at all. They're just like, "Oh yeah, it's time exclusive." Oh well, yeah, you better buy a PlayStation for that. It's just like, why are you not doing your fucking job? It's
Yeah,
just it's annoying.
it's almost like the Xbox fans don't exist, really, don't they? So yeah, it's only PlayStation to cater to them, which maybe it's because they are the leading console at the moment, PlayStation 5. It's always people s- seem to be wanting I don't know if it's just like they want the PS5 more. It's just sort of more of a cool thing to like people to have to say. Or but yeah, it's just at the moment it's a bit annoying and it's like, well, they released a good game, it got good reviews, people are enjoying it, it's fun. You know, instead of saying, "Oh, good job," it's like, "Oh, when's it coming to when's it coming to PlayStation?" It's like, "Oh God, Jesus Christ!" It's almost like when people like they some people still believe that Starfield will come to PlayStation. I still see it about, and I'm pretty sure there'll be articles writing about that, about saying should it come if Starfield will come to PlayStation, or it should come to PlayStation. You know what I mean?
Well, I
But
remember seeing chatter on forum. Obviously, this is different. This is people on forums talking. But when after the Activision um, acquisition was announced, and then sort of like shortly after that, Microsoft came out and said they intended to keep Call of Duty multi-platform, and then there were people on forums like, well, "What does this mean for Starfield then? Does Starfield now come multi-platform?" Like, how is that? How do you get from A to B there?
mm,
Like, it's a completely different game by a completely different company, which has already been announced as an Xbox exclusive. Like the fact that they're going to keep Call of Duty multi-platform doesn't mean now they're going to go back on that. It's just, I think people that have only ever played on PlayStation are so used to getting the majority of games that when it's something that a big game is coming to a platform and not theirs, it's just immediately like they've been insulted or something. Whereas every
mm.
other platform has had to deal with that. Like games don't typically games would typically skip PC a lot um, up until sort of reasonably recently, to be honest. Games would skip Xbox and go to PlayStation. Games would skip Nintendo and go to Xbox and PlayStation. It's only when a game skips PlayStation that it seems to be an issue.
Mm.
And obviously, if you're on that platform and you're missing out on a game, yeah, that's understandable. You're going to be annoyed about it. But that's been the case for everyone else since the beginning of the console market. So
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
that is the status quo. That is a reality we live in. So you're going to have to either come to terms with it or buy the other piece of hardware if you can afford it.
I mean, that reminds me of like Hi-Fi Rush got released, and PlayStation also had a game that got released. And Hi-Fi Rush seems to have overshadowed it, which is, of course, the new game by Square Enix, Forspoken. That had a lot of hype and a lot of marketing. Some people played the demo, and some people weren't impressed. It seems to have been gotten a lot of that sort of negative feedback. Obviously, you got people who liked it, but and it seems like the Hi-Fi Rush is reviewed much better than Forspoken, which is meant to be like a big AAA exclusive for PlayStation, and it's interesting to see that like they both released comparably at the same, like near enough the same time, and it's refreshing to see like Xbox game doing better than a big PlayStation sort of exclusive. Of course, that's another game that PlayStation money had to keep it off the other to keep it off Xbox and PC.
Oh no,
Um,
that's rumored to be a 2 year exclusive, and nobody in the
mhm.
media even mentioned it.
No,
Nobody cared.
you can do a Google search with that, and I want to see how many articles you get up, like bringing up saying when will Forspoken come to Xbox? I don't think you get many, and
Probably be
not many.
Xbox fan sites.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
like
mean, Forspoken's been a bit of a weird one because kind of since announcement, it's been like a mix of sort of half people saying, "I'm really looking forward to this because it's like a next gen exclusive. It looks really impressive." And then a lot of people sort of like, I don't know, it looks kind of janky, and I'm not sure it's going to be great. So it's kind of been very muted leading up to release anyway, especially after the demo dropped, and most people are quite negative about it. So it's not massively surprising to see like that it's kind of dropped off, but it is kind of interesting that Hi-Fi Rush just came out and completely ate its lunch, especially given it just came out of nowhere like that. But yeah, I think last I checked, Forspoken was on like 69 on OpenCritic or something.
yeah, I know it's pretty low at the moment.
It might have picked up at some point. No, it's still
Mm.
69. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty mixed. I mean, I'd check it out just because I do think like the reversal looks quite fun, but I'm not allowed to check it out for 2 years.
I mean, I see like when it was first announced, like for the graphical the graphics were better, and then when it got to the demo, it was like a downgrade in graphics, sort of like
Mm,
a Sleeping Dogs, sort not Sleeping Dogs. What was that one?
Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs. Yeah, when that got released, and everyone was like, "Wow, look at this! The graphics look fantastic." And then you get the actual game, and it was just like, "Oh, it's just a big downgrade." So
Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing. I've seen similar things with that as well.
I
With
watched the
Forspoken.
Digital Foundry video on Forspoken, and it's weird because, like you say, when it was first, it was announced as Project Athia, or whatever, and it did look very, very impressive. And the release game doesn't look anywhere near as good. But watching a Digital Foundry video they did on it, and in places it does look really good, and then in other places it looks really, really bad. It's just like it seems like such a mixed bag. Like in places it looks like an early like PS3 360 game
Mm.
with like um, just low poly walls covered in like repeating textures and stuff, and it's just like, how did that make it through to the release version of the game?
I mean,
You
if it,
putting it on PS5 up against games like Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and God of War Ragnarok and stuff, and it's like people are going to notice that it looks kind of shoddy.
mm, that's the thing with like PlayStation, like because they've released such like the bar's so high for their first party. So if they do release something that's a bit subpar, people tend to are disappointed. Even the fans are of PlayStation are disappointed because they're used to the having like some of the game of the year sort of best looking
A big
games.
graphics blockbuster.
It's the same with like their one of their other exclusives, Days Gone. That didn't like sort of review so well, and obviously the sequel's got shit canned, and I think that's going to be left to in the it's going to be left in the wilderness now.
Consigned to the dustbin of history.
Yeah. I mean, like some people, like we have a friend, our mutual friend of ours, who played it. He didn't really enjoy it either. Didn't think it was that
Mm.
good. So he's a big PlayStation fan. So if he says that, then you probably know that it wasn't a great game because
And also, the writer came out recently and blamed the bad sales on woke reviewers. So
oh really?
he and his game can get
Why?
fucked
Why? Like
because they
why would
didn't like a gruff biker man, a white guy being the main character. Because that holds back every other game. Every other game with a
well
white
so
male
that's
protagonist does not do
so what
well.
about Uncharted? That's one of their best reviewed games, like series ever, and that's got a white protagonist. I don't think it's got anything to do with that. I think it's
Like
just
90% of games have a white male
yeah. I mean, like it
protagonist.
doesn't that if the game's not good or if it's not great, people you're allowed to criticize it. It doesn't matter about why the character is a white guy. But anyway, like yeah, it's just ridiculous. But like if you like isekais, you should like Forspoken. Because obviously that's the whole
I've
plot.
had enough of this.
She gets taken into a different world from the real world into this magical world. So yeah, I mean that's a positive. Obviously, I don't own
Is
a
it?
PlayStation 5, so I haven't played it. I've just watched the videos.
Is
But yeah,
Isekai a positive anymore?
man, let's not. We could
Everything's an Isekai. Even the bloody
everything.
Monster Hunter movie was an Isekai.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, what's her name? Got who's the lead actress in that again?
Mila
She got
Jovovich.
yeah, she got isekai into into the Monster Hunter world. It's like, oh, why can't you just have it set in the Monster Hunter world? Does it really need like a gruff military person to be transported into this world? Just have it set there, man. Like have you like living in a village or something like that, and you have to like, I don't know. It's just a fish out of water thing that they want to explore, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just doesn't really work really well. But yeah, my anime's done that to death. I mean, like, let's move on. It's There's some good shows that have that premise. Obviously, like what was the one with Subaru?
ReZero.
What's ReZero? I like that. I'm not the first season anyway. I've not seen the second season, but I thought that when it works well. You know, obviously there's a he has that there's a he obviously he can relive the day because you know he gets killed, he could die and then comes back again. So that's a new sort of twist on it. So that works, but overall, I just think, oh god, another one. I'm taken to a magical world. God, please, why can't we just have it set in that magical world? Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Instead of being
It's like
transported.
when like Call of Duty was big in the 360 gen, everyone was like, we gotta make our own Call of Duty now. And then like an
Mm,
isa in same in anime, like a format hits it big and every anime has to be that. It's like probably I
mm,
mean there were isekai before, but like Sword Art Online was probably the first like mega hit one. And everything
mm,
after that is like everything's an isekai.
mm.
Just like yeah, so many of them are just so forgettable.
Yeah. And what's his name? Kirito gets transported to a lot of magical worlds, doesn't he? You would think he would learn his lesson by now, but not putting enough bloody headset on and going into these worlds. Every time he does that, he says someone seems to want to kill him. So yeah,
Yeah, just
but
play games on a console or something, Kirito, for
yeah,
Christ's sake.
I know it's like this kid has to get put into these worlds just to solve big tech's problems. Why can't they just like shut the game down and restart or something? Let's take the servers down. That would solve everything. Do a Final Fantasy 14 and just reset everything instead of sending this
Drop a
kid in
meteor
to
on
go.
it.
Yeah, instead of sending this kid in to find out who's the killer of this person. Oh, no, whatever. But
Yeah, if you must watch an isekai, watch Restaurant to Another World. That's all I'll say. At
rest.
least that's
Oh,
a fun one.
that sounds. What's that about? Some guy who makes food in another world? Is
Basically,
that? Yeah. Oh wow.
there's a
Okay.
restaurant from this world, and every Saturday it appears in a fantasy land, and then the people from the fantasy land discover a door into it and go in and have a lovely time and have a nice meal. It's great.
Yeah.
Everyone
I
should
mean,
watch
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Japan does have nice food. You know. Even the food on the and the animes look succulent. So yeah, why not do that? But anyway, like anything else we got to say, or should we wrap this up, Mr. Ross?
I think we've kind of covered everything we set out to
Mm,
cover. Just stick with the developer direct format, Microsoft, because
mm,
I think I haven't really seen much in the way of negative sentiment around it. Everyone seems to be quite positive around it, even if it's like it didn't cover games you're interested. Like we said at the beginning, you and me weren't interested in 75% of the games, but the format
mm,
works. And it was
mm-hmm.
still I was still engaged even watching the games that I'm not that interested in. So yeah,
Yeah.
just stick with it. Now you've got something that works. No need to go back to inside Xbox and do escape rooms and all that kind of crap
Mm,
and like multiple hosts and everything. At most, maybe you could have like a bit from Phil sitting in front of his shelf so that we could pick it apart and see what he's teasing from his shelf. Because it feels like a while since we've had a shelf tease, Phil.
yeah, he always
Give
leaves
us the
little
shelf.
he leaves little hidden nuggets in there, doesn't he? And people like sort of go, "Oh, this could be an announcement for a game or a remake or something like that."
Why has he got the Kojima Productions mascot on his shelf?
And then we
Like
found
a
out that
year ahead of that announcement.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
more
that's
shelf
another one that
teasers.
they got in the works by with Kojima Studios. They got another game in that's probably going to be exclusive. I bet people are going to be saying, "Well, if that's going to come out on PlayStation." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a future story to look forward to.
yeah, 100%.
When is Kojima's Xbox exclusive coming to PlayStation?
Because a lot of people thought Kojima Studios will be exclusive to PlayStation, and obviously, like I remember they released the banner and it had Kojima Studios on there, and I think
Mm.
Kojima said, "Could you take that down because we're an independent studio."
Because you don't own us.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, he can play the field, man. He's not tied down to any one studio, or he's his own boss. If he wants to work with Nintendo, or if he wants to work with Xbox, PlayStation, he can do that, which he seems to
Well,
be
that's the
doing.
thing. I
So
mean, he can go to anyone and just say, "Give me the big bucks," and they'll be like, "Yeah, sure, there you go. There's the
that
big bucks." So
well,
yeah, he should definitely do that.
that's what Phil's doing. I mean, like Kojima's notorious
Get
for
that
like
bag.
yeah, and Kojima's notorious for going a bit over budget and a bit crazy, but no one's gonna. He does the results do speak for themselves, so he's worth the indulgence. But yeah, I think we're gonna leave it there, Mr. Ross. It's been a bit of a short and sweet one because we're both Ross and I are slightly like tired from escapades
Just call
yesterday.
it what it is, Paul. Hungover.
I mean, we didn't do any physical. We just sang and we just feel like and just drank. But I feel
I
like
mean,
I've done
drinking's
like a
pretty
marathon.
physical.
It just feels like we've done a marathon. It's just like, oh, God. Well, just shave off 10 years off my age, man, and I'll be up there. I'll be bright as rain. But that's the
If only
thing,
we
man.
could do that.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll be we'll be heading to the London Anime and Gaming Con, which is held in Hammersmith. So there probably won't be no, no, there won't be any. We do it every 2 weeks, so yeah, it works out. But yeah, if you see us about, you want to say hello, we'll be filming that, of course, because that video that when we filmed that con, we seem to get a lot of feedback and a lot of views. So we'll be doing that. So if you see us, just come and say hello. And
Yeah, get your face in the video.
yeah, but yeah, I think we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This podcast will be available on most podcast platforms except for Apple Music. But yeah, we'll see you again next time. Bye bye.
Bye.